While the first commandment says, "You shall have no other gods before me," how are those other false gods introduced into our lives? Anything that relates to our life and is not wholly surrendered to God can become a false god. The Greeks and Romans knew this very well. Everything could become a god for them. They created Hephaestus, for example, the god of work, Mammon, the god of money, Himeros, the god of sex, and so forth. We must admit that, as human beings, we are prone to be addicted to false gods. For example, working is a blessing, but when it becomes the single top priority, it becomes like the god Hephaestus in our lives. Sexuality was idealized by God before sin for the benefit of humanity. But when humans fail to follow God's established pattern and follow their own inclination instead, their sexuality becomes a false god like Himeros. Every false god that is allowed to exist before God, in place of Him, or having priority over Him, will destroy one's spiritual life. In Romans 1:25, Paul says that by following their own inclinations, some are replacing the worship of the one true Creator with the worship of creature, sometimes the worship of themselves. Paul claims that this kind of worship is based on a lie that will never make a human being truly happy. He calls this kind of mindset foolishness. It is truly foolishness to look for true happiness in things, ourselves, or other people. Only a fool looks for peace while seeking self-fulfillment or addictions. Neither true happiness can be found just in accumulating or spending financial resources. It is only in God that we are fully happy. By the way, one of the most destructive false gods is the god of greed and the unbridled pursuit of money. That's why Jesus said, "No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other." You cannot serve God and mammon. Faithfulness and generosity are God's appointed ways to get rid of greed. When we faithfully return 10% of our income as tithe and choose another percentage for the regular return of offerings, we allow God to eradicate from our lives the false god of greed that tries to dominate us. Is any false god trying to control an aspect of your life? As you return your tithes and promise, ask God to remove it, replacing it by the indwelling of His Holy Spirit. May we put our desires last and God first.